Hi there, welcome back to my channel. If you've been following along, I'm Anne and I call this channel A Senior's Friend because I have been managing retirement residences for many years. I also worked in home care for many years, and I'm very passionate about supporting our senior population and their families and their primary caregivers. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about capacity. Yesterday we talked about powers of attorney and what happens in the event that you're no longer able to make decisions for yourself. Today, I want to talk to you about a capacity assessment. If someone is declining, and in the work that I've done with a lot of seniors, I've seen people who have experienced cognitive decline to the point where they were no longer able to make informed decisions for themselves, whether it be about their care, about their finances, in many areas of daily life. And they needed someone, a trusted family member or someone who really cared about them that they could trust, to step in and make those decisions on their behalf. Very often it is a family member, whether it's an adult child or a spouse or someone that the family loves and trusts. Sometimes people don't have anyone like that they can turn to, and in that case it would be the public guardian and trustee who steps in and manages the affairs of that individual. But before that can happen, someone has to be declared or deemed incapable, and there's a lot that goes into that. Each of us has the right to make decisions for ourselves, even decisions that someone else may consider to be bad. I have the right to make decisions for myself that my children may not agree with, but I'm of sound mind, although they might argue that, but legally I am of sound mind and I can make my own decisions. So it's important to make sure that you have these conversations with the people that you care about, the people that you love, so that you can, for yourself, decide who that person is going to be that steps in to make decisions for you. But if you decline and your cognitive ability becomes impaired and you are clearly unable to make decisions for yourself, for example, yesterday I spoke of a lady that I had in the retirement residence that I worked in a number of years ago. And when she first moved in, she was completely of sound mind and she managed all of her own affairs. She had no spouse, had no children. There was no family, extended family that we were aware of. And she did everything on her own, moved herself in, signed the lease. She was great. But 13 years later, when, I got to know her, or 11 or 12 or whatever it was, she had declined and she had developed dementia. And in the end, the company that I worked for ended up having to pay for a capacity assessment for this lady. So in Ontario, where I live, the government has a list of capacity assessors. Now, these are healthcare professionals. It could be a doctor, it could be a nurse, it could be a social worker, it could be an occupational therapist. Any one of those healthcare professionals might be able to do a capacity assessment. They would be trained specifically to do these assessments. And the Government of Ontario maintains a list of all of the capacity assessors in the province, so that you can go online and you can select a capacity assessor in your area. The assessments are not cheap, but each assessor has the ability to decide for themselves what they will charge hourly or whether it be a flat rate. And you would need to reach out to that individual directly and ask them what their rates are. They would want to know, a little bit about the situation. What is it they're looking at? There are many areas of capacity that can be assessed. And you may have some ability to make decisions for yourself in certain areas, but not in others. So for example, a capacity assessor may say, you are no longer capable of making a decision for yourself in terms of where you're going to live. You no longer understand the ramifications or the risk to your safety if you continue to live in your home, potentially as a hoarder, for example, or that has many stairs, and you're no longer able to weight bear. And so they may decide that you are no longer able to make that choice. But if you move into a retirement residence and strike up a friendship with someone who already lives in the home and a romance ensues, capacity assessor may say, you're perfectly fine to decide if you're going to engage in a romance and in sexual activity. There are different things that they look at, and there are a number of criteria that they look at to determine whether or not you are capable of making those informed decisions for yourself. They would also assess finance. When it comes to moving to long-term care, as I think I may have mentioned in the first or second video, the care coordinator through Home and Community Care Services is the person who would help you to create the application for long-term care. They manage the lists for long-term care. The wait lists for long-term care are very, very long in Ontario. When I first started working into retirement, I was hearing anywhere from 5 to 10 years. Now I've been hearing anywhere from 10 to 17 years is how long it may take to get a bed in a long-term care facility. So that means if you have declined to the point where you need to move out of your home in the community and move into a congregate community, you would need to look at retirement living. And there are more and more retirement residences now that are catering to people with cognitive impairment. So you need to, and we'll do a whole other video on this, but there are residences that have assisted living. There are residences that have memory care, and we'll look at all of those another time. So the capacity assessor will determine what areas of capacity you are well enough to make decisions in, and they will determine where your capacity is lacking. The care coordinator from Home and Community Care Support Services will look at your ability to make choices for yourself in terms of where you are going to live, but that is the only area of capacity that they will look at. They will not touch finance. They will not assess your ability to choose to engage in a romance. They are strictly going to look at your ability to understand whether or not you are safe in your current living environment, and whether or not it is time for you to consider moving to long-term care. If they decide that you are no longer capable and you do have a power of attorney document in place, that's when whoever you have appointed as power of attorney would then step in to make some decisions for you about where you're going to live. So I will put a link in the comment section below that will guide you to the Government of Ontario website that provides the list of capacity assessors in Ontario. I've only worked with one or two for various residents throughout the years, and the experiences that I had were great with the individuals that I got to meet. They were very professional. They came to the home. They did their assessment there. Now the person who is undergoing the assessment needs to agree to it. And if they don't agree to it, you would need to look at getting a court order to kind of force the issue. So it can be a long, complicated process. Definitely seek out some legal advice, as I said yesterday in the other video. Again, I want to remind everybody that I am not a lawyer, I am not a doctor, I'm not a nurse. I don't have a clinical background, I have an operations background. But I've been around a long time, and I've experienced a lot and seen a lot. So I'm happy to help when and where I can. If you have questions that you'd like me to address, that you'd like me to research, please leave a comment for me below, and I will definitely do my best to look into these items for you. If you would consider subscribing to my channel, hitting the like button, sharing the video with someone that you think may get some benefit from it, I would really appreciate that. My goal is really just to try to help people when and where I can. So thank you so much for watching today, and I will chat with you again soon.